Welcome back, everyone. We are going to do our debrief and logistics for day 4. Excited to hear all about everyone's experience today. Today was a bit of a doozy. If you read tea leaves, if you read the signs, you may have realized that when you took a look at the number of TAs that were in the room today. It was a historically large number of TAs. You may have also realized it was a doozy when I don't know if that was exactly 2 pages single space, but it was pretty close. That was a long assignment. There was like an afternoon, there's a morning, and right now one of the groups is going, wait a minute, there was an afternoon? There was somebody who was looking at the assignments for Friday and they're like, well, there's nothing there yet. I guess we got the day off. So lots of moving parts. Maybe you jumped in and didn't read the whole assignment. Maybe you were like, wait, how does the morning connect to the afternoon? Or wait, there was an afternoon. Maybe the survey wasn't set up just right, or you deployed and made a mistake and got a bunch of answers that you weren't expecting and had to redo it. Maybe you forgot the consent statement, or right now you're thinking, what's a consent statement? Or maybe you forgot to go see the TA and pay for the survey yourself. I hope no one did that. If you did, come talk to me. Or maybe you were looking at the space, like I said, where Friday was and took the day off. Maybe your brain needed a break. Whatever happened today, you were here. You were in it. You are still in the running to be SICSS-Howard Mathematica's top participant. Maybe you'll get a rose at the end of this. That was my America's Top Model monologue attempt. Popular culture. You were here today, you're still in it. All of these experiences are valid and we want to hear about them all. Be proud of the mistakes you made as well as your accomplishments. Either way, we all learn, right? All right, so speaking of doozies, what was there, like 12 questions? So I'm gonna read over the questions. Ha ha ha, I'm about to add one. Ha ha, didn't see that coming. You're gonna like the first one. So the first question is now, so what happened? Were you able to deploy the survey? How was that experience? So I'm going to drop this all in the chat box for you in just a second, okay? How was the experience? If you did, how was the experience if you didn't deploy? What was the focus of your survey? What did you include in your additional module on anti-Black racism or inequity? That is our theme. We're going to keep returning to that. We are the only site with a theme. And all of our exercise and everything we do comes back to that. And then there's also our other questions. So Merlin, can you drop that first question in the chat box since it's a new one? The other questions were, how close were the estimates for this activity to the estimates from Pew? I highlighted for you, Merlin, so you can find it. Were there any important differences observed in the estimates of minoritized populations? What do you think might be causing some of these differences? How could you test these speculations? What issues have you noticed while you're implementing the survey in Google Form that might affect how respondents answered the questions? Did you randomize the order of your questions? If not, should you have? We noted for you that Pew did randomize the order in each survey. How important is it to open source data that you've collected with other researchers? What things should you keep in mind when open sourcing data? And does this activity change how you think about your own research or the project you might want to work on in week 2? Okay, so that's a mouthful, a whole bunch of questions. We just dropped the most recent one that I added in the chat box, but Merlin will now drop all the rest of them so you have them all. That's a lot, okay? Where you enter where you want. Use these questions or don't use them for your purposes right now. We want to hear about your experience, okay? So I'm about to turn it over to Maxine. After your presentations, we'll jump into some quick logistics, then we'll send you on your way for the day, okay? So Maxine is going to take over and walk you through your presentations. Maxine, who's first in our order?
I have Audrey Lord up first.
So Audrey Lord team, please put up your hands if we need to get you on screen. Great, so we're gonna do that. Thank you. Thank you, Susanna, we see you. Thank you, Rebecca, we see you. Great. All right, I think we need to add one more person who's missing. Is it Rebecca and Susanna? Okay, there we go, take it away.
Okay, so I guess we'll start by describing what happened. A lot happened. We spent a lot of time brainstorming. And I'm sorry, I lost the questions. We were able to deploy our survey at the very end, but we did not get a chance to look over the data, compare it to Pew Research. A lot of the reasons why we didn't actually get to deploy our survey until the very end is because we had a lot of trouble using Google Forms, which some of us had some experience with, but we noticed that it was a lot harder for these types of questions. One problem that we had was that we were unable to do select a multiple choice answer and include a text box with it. So for things like demographics where people might not identify with the gender that we listed, we had some trouble having some answers there. And then our addition was the modern racism scale, which gets at the denial of continuing racism. And we chose to do that because we thought that how people endorse modern racism would be associated with their policy support, which was the questions that we pulled from Pew Research. And I'll stop here and let Susanna and Rebecca chime in.
We actually did, what questions did you answer? Well, the issues that we have, yeah, and also because Google Forms doesn't have a skip pattern that allows, like, if you answer this, then go to the next question. That was another issue. And then in terms of randomization of the order, we did not do that. I don't think so. So let's see. When outsourcing data, we realized, well, this survey is okay to, share it because it's just an exercise, but we were discussing how, as Dr. Smith discussed yesterday, like Black women, brown women, immigrant women tend to be scooped. So we think that if it's already something that you're working and you want to publish, that it's better to release the data and release the code when it's already published or something like that, so that you don't get scooped. Rebecca maybe wants to go with the next part.
So in my based on what I see so far about the open source data is when people have a very unique access to a data, they tend to hold on to it and then just milk it as much as possible. But and also, like, when you sorry, when you have an open source data, you have to be careful about like the information that you ask, like, so that people can identify like who you are based on the survey questions. But I think this is a really good exercise because I have no experience with Amazon Turk or the cloud research, and then in the end we find out that we have to release the surveys through the TA, and now through our individual Amazon Turk account. So we really looking forward to get back to like the survey response. Yes, so that's me.
I'm going to jump in and say something really quick. So we're going to pass along the email address for the TA that can run your survey, because we want to make sure you get a chance to deploy. So that's for everyone. If you didn't quite make it to deployment and you'd still like to do that, there is a budget to do that. So we will make sure you get to deploy your survey. Before I hand it back to Maxine, I'm not sure if she has any questions or comments. I will say that each team had a person who sort of had a little exposure to MTurk. Does the person on this team want to raise their hand? Yay, Grace, extra round of applause for people who carried maybe a little bit extra on this. So thank you, Grace. All right, back to you, Maxine.
I'm going to shout out Grace because I caught her in a couple other rooms helping other teams out. So thank you, Grace. I'm sure that other people are very grateful for you. And it also sounds like you had a great learning experience as a team. You just did so much. Okay, our next group is Marcia P Johnson. So raise your hands. We have Imani, Daniel, and Erica. Let's see, we got Daniel up. We have Imani. And whenever you're ready.
I can start us off if that's okay, and then y'all can jump in and whatever I miss. So we were able to deploy a survey, which was super exciting. We were interested, in addition to the political opinion questions and the demographic questions that were given by the survey instrument example, we, for the sort of anti-racism component of our survey, we're interested in this colorblind racial attitude scale that Imani actually came across, which is super interesting. And so this measures, the main factors that this scale measures are unawareness of racial privilege, unawareness of institutional discrimination, and unawareness of blatant racial issues. So we had a hypothesis that these factors would be predictive of certain policy priority opinions. We were able to deploy our survey. We currently have 20 respondents, which is exciting. Looking at our demographics, if I just want to share my screen here, you can see that our respondents are, they skew pretty male, not necessarily low income, pretty geographically spread, pretty spread urban, suburban, rural, and fairly highly educated and fairly white, which Imani had some experience with Amazon Turk and sort of had a feeling that the population tends to skew more white and male. So that was confirmed with our respondents so far. And then I don't know if Erica, if you got far with the plotting, but I wasn't able to plot the differences between some of the past year's MTurk data and the Pew estimates, but I did like a simple difference of means, and I found that the MTurk data was most overestimating Twitter usage and most underestimating improving at the educational system as a top policy priority, which sort of makes sense with the respondents that we've gotten on our survey so far. Like they are very active on social media, so it makes sense that they would be more active on Twitter than perhaps the Pew sample. And then our sample is also fairly highly educated, like mostly bachelor degrees, such that they might not think that education is as big of a policy priority because they were able to obtain an education. So that was interesting. I think that's all I have. Do y'all have anything to add?
I was just going to add that for the randomizing the order of the questions, we didn't do that because I think we just didn't realize that Pew randomized the order of their questions, so we didn't. But I think for our other survey, they don't. At least from our reading, we didn't see anywhere where they said that you should randomize. So we wanted to make sure that we were using it appropriately. That's the only thing that I wanted to add.
Thank you all. Everybody, round of applause. We got liftoff, we got a deployment.
Yeah, another deployment. Thank you. Should we move on to our next group?
Yes, please.
We have
also wait, extra claps and snaps for Imani, who was our person with MTurk experience on this team. So let's give her some love too. All right, back to you, Maxine, not Max, Maxine.
So our next group, we have Roxanne Gay. That's Andrea. Oh, you have to tell me if I say your name wrong. Nayantara and Ramansar?
Nayantara and Rumesa.
And Rumesa, thank you.
Welcome.
So greetings, everyone. I'm going to talk about our experience. I also want to shout out Grace because she came in and helped us, and we are just really appreciative for us. She helped us a great deal. And I also wanted to just say that what a great team we had. We enjoyed this whole experience, and I'm going to let Nayantara talk about what we came up with. But what I was supposed to talk about really is our experience with MTurk and cloud research. We were able to set up 2 MTurk accounts, and we worked in the crowd research platform and actually were able to deploy a survey. Nine Tara is going to talk about that, but I think we made a decision to really spend some time developing the Google survey that we put together. And we did randomize 2 sections of our questions, but the survey was really thoughtful because it was actually related to what we thought. We didn't really have a research question, but we were attempting to think about the anti-race, anti-discrimination, and incorporate that into the results that we have. So I'll turn it over to Tara.
So I'm just going to share my screen so that we can all take a look at our politics and social media opinion survey, which is still live and is accepting responses right now. So we had our little consent thing right there. Then we added the demography section, all thanks to Grace, because initially we didn't realize that would be important. So thank you again, Grace. So where we ask about the race, age, and gender identity. So these are all from the census definitions that Andrea found out for us. And for age, we just keep it open-ended. Right, so in the politics and the social media section, we had, this is where we randomized, where we had Democrat, Republican, Independent, something else. And then we wanted to know whether or not they use social media. So if they said yes, then only they would go to the next set of questions. Said no, they would just stop. And then the type of social media that they would use, this is, you could select multiple options there, and their political following. So again, we randomized here because we didn't want it to be too left or right leaning, just so that it would be all different. And this is what we really used as that section where we were kind of talking about like other other types of social movements like Black Lives Matter, Me Too, the Second Amendment, alt-right, Happy Pride, and other hashtags which they might be following. We thought that might be a good intersection of using social media movements as well as political affiliations to kind of understand what our demography was like leaning towards. And Rumisa will be answering the last question, so I'll hand it over to her.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll be talking about what I learned from all these experiences, especially from this cloud research. When I just heard Amazon MTurk, I was thinking about maybe for the fund, working on how these platforms might be biased in terms of race or religion. But today I learned that from TA. I mean, he explained very detailed and very, very nicely that these platforms, even now, they have this kind of total survey, errors, this kind of measurement and representation errors. But still, I mean, we cannot say it and then discard these kind of platforms, but still they have this kind of precautions. Let's say they have this, you can select the people who participate in other surveys, or you can participate the rate of the people responding to these surveys. So I learned a lot. Thank you for the team. It was such a great experience.
And I just want to say that everybody should get on Amazon Turk and take some of these surveys, because if we're not represented, then we need to represent. So that's just my my last bit of.
Okay, let's give them some love. Great group here, and more shout outs for Grace. And our secret MTurker on this team is Nayantara, so make sure she gets some appreciation too. Yeah.
I only opened an account at 11 p.m. at night, so that's all I know.
And I am here for that.
disclosure.
I am barely a step ahead of you on that, so I am here for that. We considered expertise. The bar for expertise was low. It's just I have heard of MTurk. Okay, next, back to you, Maxine.
I love hearing how y'all visited the TAs. I think there are a couple groups that visited TAs, so it's great. All right, our next group is James Baldwin. We have Amber, another name that I might need help pronouncing, Getamusai, and Christina.
Getumsa.
Amber, Getumsa, and Christina. Thank you.
All right, hey y'all. So we were able to get to the point where we deployed our survey, and we're getting to the point where we were looking at the responses kind of rolling in.
Oh, we can't see you. Put your hands up so we can find you. Get your hands up. Get your hands up so we can put you on screen. Oh,
Okay,
damn. I was singing on this video. We're going to have to edit that out.
we were
Go ahead.
able
Take it away.
get some of the responses in and start looking at those, but we didn't get to the point where we were able to start with analysis. And we spent a good amount of time thinking about like what MTurk is. So Amber had worked with MTurk before. I had literally never heard of it. And when it was like kind of roughly explained to me, I thought it sounded kind of fake and weird because of the like artificial intelligence bit. But we were able to get some responses that were really interesting. We definitely learned and thought a lot about how MTurk itself might give you so much like skewed data and how you have to be really intentional about thinking about what data from there you can pull and what kind of like inferences and interpretations you can have. And the stuff that we added in about anti-Blackness and Blackness in general or race in general really pertain to how Americans thought about these different kind of big issues impacting racial minorities is how we framed it. And so for instance, like we posed the question of how might the issues below impact Americans differently depending on racial identity. And the things that we asked about were criminal justice, COVID-19, mass shootings, climate change, inflation, poverty and stuff like that. And so we didn't get to the point where we could look at how people were responding on the basis of race and these different kind of demographic ideas, but I think that there would probably be some very interesting stuff there. And one of the things that was also a little bit surprising to us was that of our 28 responses with three different repeats, 23 of the people that responded were white, right? So like thinking about how what it would mean to have to go through if we were really conducting this and have to do multiple kind of like hits to kind of make sure that we are over sampling for certain populations that would not or are not otherwise going to necessarily be represented in the way that they need to be within this. Other stuff that I left out?
I think Christina covered everything really well. I think one of the things that we just reiterated a couple of times is that like as academics, we have to be really skeptical about these different tools. There's one example in my department where a professor had an MTurk survey and there were people who were white who claimed to be Black so that they could have access to more surveys and they were responding as if they were Black. So there's so many risks and some of those we talked about in our group, but overall it was like a really cool discussion and we both learned a lot, or all three of us learned a lot.
I love how, Amber, you brought it back to ethics where we started on day one, and I love the be skeptical. I also added to our chat box, I'm curious as to where BIPOCs are taking surveys like this if we're not here, and whether our absence might have to do with poor treatment of minoritized communities by researchers in the past. And a special shout out to Amber, who was our secret MTurker, if I'm sure everyone figured that out, on this team, so thank you. Back to you, Maxine.
All right, and my last group that we have here is Rashad Robinson. So Asha, BJ, and Renee. Last but certainly not least.
And I don't think I said clap for that team. Sorry, clap for that team, everybody, which is also a great standing ovation for the team coming up. All right, get your hands up so we spotlight you.
Yeah, so we had we also created form on Google survey, Google Forms, and we had consent and all of that we put. And then we had 2 questions on demographic questions, race and gender. And then we added 3 questions. One was on most important problem our country is facing currently, and then we gave them a lot of options to choose. And we had one social media related question where we asked who do they follow or are they following contacts whose focus is on science. So it's like their inclination towards science. And then last question was about what measures can the country take to reduce inequality between Black people and white people. And then we gave them set of choices. We did deploy our survey, and I would give big shout out to our teammate BJ, who was our hero today. She did it from her personal account, because we did not know that after we have done our survey, we were supposed to move back to TA and get that done there, which we learned later. And it was last minute. So while she was canceling it, by that time we already had 12 responses and we canceled. So we again have to go back to our TA and get another 8 responses. So we want to do that. And so in terms of our responses, like we are also like, it is all aligning with what other groups have said. So in terms of racial ethnic background, we do have like 75% response from a white or European American. And we have more male, is 66%, and only 33% female, and no other options have been chosen. We had like transgender, non-binary, prefer not to say. So that is another area to think that these people are not there, but our sample is too small to draw any firm conclusion. Question to country problem, facing problem. We had, choices like, thank you for sharing. So yeah, any of you would like to take it from here? Otherwise I can continue.
I'll continue. I'm just trying to be a tech person.
So yeah, but here we have quite a good mixed response in terms of country, problems facing the country, like immigration, illegal immigration, separating families, economy, finances, and money. So quite mixed response. There's nothing like one thing emerging here more than the other. If you can scroll down. And in terms of following account or pages which are inclined to science, we got like 66% people saying yes. So that shows that people are interested in science, which is great. And in terms of measures that could be taken to reduce inequality between Black and white people, 33% said like increasing racial diversity. That means going back to Nanet's point of, BIPOC people on MTurk, platform like MTurk, we need more people there. So yeah, that's all. And I think, yeah. So in terms of our result, and hopefully we'll get 8 more responses, because we have, I think we have given a URL to our TA, or maybe we'll connect and we'll see, we'll get more responses to work further on it, kind of comparing our results with peer research.
I was just going to add to, a lot of, I had never heard of MTurk, so this was a really good experience, but a lot of my questions were related to like ethics, pretty much relating to like who's actually taking it, if they're being truthful, if it's like money driven. But it was really cool getting the experience. But I thought about those things where it may be like more money driven versus actually being truthful. So yeah.
I'd like us to give them a round of applause as well. Everyone, give them some love. And BJ is our secret MTurker on the team. By the way, BJ, I've already heard from Jesse. Jesse said write him so that he can help you. So his email is in the chat box, but he's super excited to help you. So we're going to finish our presentations by hearing from Maxine. So she told you a little bit about her experience with this at the top of the day. So I'd love her to talk about her experience at the end of the day, and also a bit about what her skill set was before she arrived in this space last year.
So I remember at the end of this day, a lot like you, where we're like, what are we supposed to do? And we took about 20 minutes to orient. And by the end of the day, it felt like we had struggle bust our way to the end of the day, but we got there. I had a lot of experience at that point with doing data analysis and data visualization, but no experience with surveys. And so we really had to rely on each other as a group to make progress, because we had a really nice balance of skills. And I'm actually doing a survey-based study now, which I never would have done before I did SICSS.
Incredible. Please join me in thanking our Alumni Legacy TF, who is with us today, Maxine. I think you all know this is a new initiative at our site. No other sites offer this opportunity. So we greatly appreciate her willingness to be with us today and all that she added. I think she was vibrant in our chat box and got folks talking today, which I loved. So please make sure you thank her. Can you drop your email address in the chat box for us, Maxine, too, in case folks want to reach out? So we are going to jump into our logistics. We have 14 minutes. We're no kidding. We're over by a minute. Okay, so I'm gonna do this really fast. Kidding. We're over by a minute. Okay, here we go. Okay, super fast. I just want to thank you all for being in it with us today. Last year we were not able to pull off the Mechanical Turk part of this. A lot of sites do not do this part of it because the challenge with the extra accounts. So we're one of very few sites that has ever pulled this off with the MTurk, thanks to Mathematica. And definitely this year. So thank you for being in it with us. And we're glad to hear that everyone, it sounds like everybody deployed or is close to deploying or needs to redeploy, but we're in good shape. Please make sure you get that data. Who knows, maybe this will be the basis for your project next week. I'd like to close our day by encouraging you to think of today as a metaphor for computational social science. So sometimes the rules and the approach are clear, but often they change, and maybe you're building a bridge that you're walking across at the same time. Okay, you may head into things knowing everything, you may head into things knowing nothing, but most likely you're somewhere in the middle, right? So if you'd never heard of MTurk, you probably know a little bit about surveys. If you know about surveys, you probably figure out MTurk, right? Everybody, the more you reach towards each other, the better we can all do. So there's enough knowledge in this room that we did something that I have not seen happen. This did not happen at the Princeton site. So what we accomplished today did not happen when I was there. Everybody did not deploy. A bunch of us like, not just my team, there were lots of teams like that. So we did incredible work today. So thank you all. Want to mention to you that it's possible to create channels on Slack. If you have not clicked on the little button, and I'm going to screen share real quick and show you. Like I said, I'm trying to do this as fast as possible. Don't want to take up too much of your evening. I'm going to screen share real quick. This is a great way to make friends. Okay, so we're going to scroll up here. We're at SICSS-Howard right here, so everybody can see that. So if you scroll up here, you've got channels. So these are the channels that I am a part of. All right, but you can also hit this little plus sign and create a channel. So you can create a channel and invite people to come join you. You can browse existing channels. So I noticed there's a BLM Women like Rutgers group. I think there's I think it's something like a badass Latina intellectual group. There's all sorts of groups here. There's also functional ones like, SICSS-JIS, IPT and such, but you can create a group and invite people to join you. So I'd encourage you to spend a little time on Slack and make friends, especially as you get close to figuring out your projects. You never know what other expertise is out there. You may be missing something in your group and someone may be out there. I'd like to remind everybody for the signups specifically for our panels. So I'm going to open, for the panels, it is important that we know who you're going to be watching the video for. So let's see, I'm going to screen share real quick. Actually, I'm not going to screen share. So I'm just going to say this out loud. So right now we are missing some video coverage. So for our panels, for the All Africa panel, where us, Cameroon, South Africa, and Nigeria will be together for one experience at the same time, we're missing someone doing the video for Lebohang Ramafoko, who is the Oxfam, the new executive director of Oxfam. She's incredible. She's also a friend. So we're missing someone for that video. So if you've not signed up for a video on that day yet, please let's make sure we have coverage for that. Right now, I think we have Basso is covered by Gatumsa, Evans is covered by Renee, Yahya is covered by Rumesa. We need coverage on Lebohang, okay, please. For the Metaverse panel, Andre Brock is being covered by Andrea. Courtney Cogburn, we do not have coverage. Daniel Olson, we do not have coverage. Kyla McMullen is being covered by Nyanthara and Grace. So if you didn't hear your name there, you remember you're supposed to sign up for one panel, it's because you didn't pick a video. So please go back and let's make sure all of our videos are covered. They're all incredible speakers. It's going to be a busy, fun 2 days. Let's make sure we have coverage. I'm also going to drop our pulse survey link into the chat box. By now, this is all old hat for you all. All right, please give us keep, start, stop. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you want us to change. Reminder to take a look at the takeaway sheet from today. Hopefully it was valuable, but it covers a lot of the stuff. If there's stuff we missed, if there's stuff that needs to be added after our session that wasn't on there last year, please go ahead and add a comment. And then finally, please join me in thanking our TAs for the day. They're not with us, but I still love to thank them. So that would be Mary, Jules, Jesse, Bill, Jeremy, Liz, Hobai, Annalie, and Lena. So again, dream team, huge group of TAs for what was a heavy and innovative lift from last year. And then of course, our special guest, Calvin. That ends the day. My apologies for taking 6 extra minutes of your time. I will try to give it back tomorrow. Everybody have a beautiful evening or afternoon or morning or middle of the night. I know Gatumsa, it's probably about 12 o'clock or so there. So everyone be well. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the morning. We'll upload the exercise overnight and we'll do the damn thing tomorrow again. Have a great day. Thank you all for watching. For more information on SICSS-Howard Mathematica, visit our website, follow us on social media, and join our email list.